Good evening and welcome to SF Live. I'm your host, Christina Marie Flores. We have a wonderful show for you tonight. Tonight we're bringing you the SF Art and Film founder and director, Ronald Chase, and a star pupil, you might say, a wonderful film director at a very young age that makes incredible films that you'll see clips from a little later in the program, Max Sokoloff. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you very much. I would like to know a little bit about what exactly SF Art and Film is about. What does it encompass?
Well, Christina, we're in our 16th year. We offer a program that's very it has many different parts. We offer a cine club on Friday nights. It's free, of really classic, serious films for kids. On Saturday, it's called Art Saturdays. We take kids to museums and galleries down in the middle of town.
Okay.
We usually give them a lunch or a picnic, and then they go to see a film in the movie house that they maybe wouldn't pick on their own.
Okay.
And then we discuss it afterwards. And then on Sundays, we operate a film workshop that teaches film to kids. That's from 11 to 6. That's the only program that we have fees for. Everything else is free. And then during the week, we give them free seats to the opera, the symphony, ballet, theater, dance throughout the year. So last year, I think we sponsored 130 free events for young people.
Wow.
And so we were able to basically, many times we take them to the symphony, for example, almost 3 times a month. And so they really do have this comprehensive look, and it's exposing them to all the arts. But it's a kind of strange program because we learn that when it comes down to it, it's not exactly what they learn about the arts. It's lots of other things they learn because they're constantly going, seeing, doing. They learn something about a kind of pattern in life that they can take through it, you see.
Now, when you say children, what age group are you speaking of?
Well, it's interesting. We started with teenagers, and so we're basically called San Francisco Art and Film for Teenagers. Then we realized that there were a lot of very much younger kids that were very advanced. And so people would say, oh, my kid's only 10. Could he come into the program? He wants to see the movies. And so we thought, okay, we're not going to set an age limit about how young you could come in. We even have an 8-year-old that sat through all sorts of foreign films, read subtitles. It's incredible.
An 8-year-old.
And but it's self-chosen. So people just choose to do it, and they come into the website, sign on, and we send them emails. Then we realized that we really should open it to colleges because there were so many college students that had not had the opportunity to be exposed to the arts to actually take part in them. So we opened it up as far as college graduates. So now we go through to middle school students, through college graduates, and we mix them all together, and they all sit and talk about these films and everything, and you realize that age is not so much a factor in the way that people are educated.
It's a passion and something that they share.
Well, it's something that they're at a point where they want to talk with each other, and that's and the younger kids usually listen to the older people talking, and I think that's what gives you a kind of vocabulary that you can start using that vocabulary yourself. But you have to actually hear it first, and you have to hear people talking about art, talking about films, talking about a lot of different subjects before you can actually understand how you connect up things. And I think that's what we do, I think, better almost than anyone. I'm told that. That's all I have to say, is I'm often told that that's what we do better than other organizations.
Brings into mind the whole idea that is a pet peeve of mine, that communication, one-on-one conversation, learning and teaching and storytelling are a lost art in our culture.
Well, I think it still exists, but I think it's so much harder because everyone's distracted. We live now, I would call it a culture of distraction. We have everything we can plug in, we can tap into that can distract us, but we don't have very much that actually helps us connect those things and really think and really reflect on things and talk about them. And I think that one of the reasons I actually formed this is because I could understand the young people that I met had certain elements that were very aspiring. They really wanted something better than the status quo. And I felt like something should be offered as an alternative to what they're getting, so that those people that really are aspiring, that want to go faster, that want to go somewhere else, they at least have an alternative. And it's been very, we see about 700 kids a year, and they choose themselves, so they're out there. It's just that, we're always trying to do outreach to, help people understand that we're there. But I find that some kids tell us that they're in a school where they've never met another student that wanted to listen to classical music, and they feel isolated and alone, and they get to come and be around people that like the same things that they do. So that's really one of the helps.
It's amazing. I grew up in San Francisco, and when I went to school, we had music programs, we had art programs, we did listen to classical music and that, and it seems like that's all been stripped away from this public school system in San Francisco, and there's nothing that replaces it.
Well, you have some schools, like the School of the Arts, for example, that is really dedicated to that. But what's interesting is that everybody's time is completely consumed now with I think you could say a lot of it is just trivia. And I think that things that are meaningful, or that things that might leave an impact on young people, they're very rare. They come few and far between. And I think that that's why we think that exposure does so much. They just need to be exposed, almost like we try to expose them to as much as we can get them to do. And something out there is going to stick. That's what the program's built on, really, is just to literally lay seeds. And I think those seeds it's interesting that it doesn't have so much to do with art per se. Yes, they see a lot of art. They talk about art. But art means you talk about philosophy, you talk about history, you talk about thinking, you talk about yourself. And I think those things lead people to be able to have a kind of articulation. And they also, kids tell us all the time, 2 years, they feel so much more confident in themselves.
Yes.
And I think it's that confidence and the articulation that they carry through. I don't care what they do. I mean, we're not really dedicated to artists or anything like that. We're just dedicated that kids understand that art's a real way that they can get in touch with a lot of other things.
Ronald has these lessons on different film techniques like montage and point of view, and I've done them now 3 years, and you do little films, and so the more you practice these techniques, they just start to become kind of integral, and you just, without thinking about it, you use them and you think about them. And then the other big way is just through watching films and using your eye, being very cautious about or aware of what you're looking at is really important. For instance, even if I'm not looking at films, but I'm looking at paintings, let's say, you're constantly developing your eye, and how are they composing the frame? How's the artist using color? And I see about 3 films a week. So I see one at Cine Club, which is where Art and Film shows classic films. Then on Saturdays we go to a film in theaters. And then I also usually have so much curiosity about, what I'm looking at, that I go out and, rent a couple films on top of that. So I'm constantly looking, constantly thinking about, art and all this. So that's kind of how I've developed it. It's been natural.